Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Travis Milliman. I'm the Performing Arts Librarian here at Greenwich, and this is our Broadway on a Budget summer webinar. Um, we do these about 3 times a year for those who have not come in the past. We do one right before the holidays, one kind of in the spring leading up to the spring season, and then one heading into the summer. And so with this program, what we're going to be talking about is, it'll click through. There we go. We're going to be talking about some apps and digital discounts. We're going to be talking about in-person discounts and then memberships. And with this round, for those who have come before, I have added a few new things, especially when we get down into hip ticks. I'm really excited to talk about some new stuff, as well as another way to do the lottery for those of you who are interested in seeing shows such as Lion King and Wicked, those kind of like standby staple shows. So we'll start with apps and digital discounts. And our first one that we're going to be talking about is TodayTix. And this is the one, I think it's starting to become better known, but this is the one that we spend the most time talking about. So TodayTix works with thousands of venues to provide the best priced tickets available in the biggest cities around the world, including New York, London's West End, Toronto, San Francisco, Los Angeles, Seattle, DC, Chicago, and many more. And so what I really like about TodayTix is, yes, we live here in New York, and there's a lot you can do in New York City with this. But if you go on vacation, you can take TodayTix with you on your phone and get discounts to entertainment kind of all over the world. So when you go to TodayTix, this is what the homepage looks like. This is for the website. We'll spend most of the time looking at the app version for smartphones and tablets. That is really the way the service is designed, is to work with those types of equipment, phones and tablets. But you'll see here that we have some of the biggest shows on Broadway available for discounted rates. So you'll see Book of Mormon right here, save 21%. Sunset Boulevard, it's not showing it right now, but it does have deals for that. And Juliet has become kind of a staple of the Great White Way. That has a big thing on it. John Proctor's The Villain is one of the best-selling shows in New York right now, and that has a big deal on it. So lots of ways to save money. But the first thing you're going to have to do if you want to use TodayTix is to make an account. And so right now what we're looking at is what it looks like in your phone. This isn't for an iPhone. For an Android, it's not much different. So you're going to be looking for in your app store TodayTix, one word, Tix with an X, and it's this red square here. And this is an old picture, so you won't see, this is from Shucked from a few years ago, so you won't see that, but the logo for the app has not changed. And then creating the account itself is pretty simple, especially if you sign up with Apple or Google. It takes seconds, but really all it is your first name, last name, email, and then creating a password. It does not take long, and then you can kind of have at it. So once you've made your account, you'll see on the right here, this is what the TodayTix kind of home screen looks like. So there's usually kind of a show of the moment up top. So Floyd Collins is what it has right now, which is nominated for Best Revival this year, and is fantastic. It also has lots of great deals right now. Like I said, Sunset Boulevard, we'll talk more about the Rush tickets in a moment. But the example that we're going to look at is with Six. So Six is, if you haven't seen it, it is the story of the wives of Henry VIII. And it's kind of told through this pop concert. And what's really cool about it, in my opinion, is a lot of the creative team actually worked with the Spice Girls back in the day. So you're looking at these costumes, and it's like the Spice Girls costume designer, and a lot of their creative team consulted on it. And actually, she won a Tony, the Spice Girls costume designer, for working on this, which is pretty cool. Um, and a few years ago, I would say Six was one of the hottest tickets in New York. It still is a pretty hot ticket, but it's a lot easier to get a deal to now. And especially on the off season, you're even seeing it on TDF, which we'll get to in a bit. But when you open up TodayTix, let's say you want to go see Six, you look at the homepage here for Six, and you'll click on this red pick your seats down here at the bottom. And that'll take you to a page like over here on the right. And when they have a sale, which they frequently do on TodayTix, or an especially good deal, you will see this blue thing up top with this price tag. So right here it says great prices. And those are the days where they have especially good deals in the app's opinion. An important thing to note is at the bottom here, you see it says 2 tickets. And with that number there, these rates will change. So if you're solo, you switch it to 1, you might get more blue squares here. If you are a group of 3 or 4, that might shrink. So just make sure you have this bottom set to what you would like your quantity to be at. And so once you've selected a date, it's our next slide. So right here we have Wednesday, June 18th at 7 p.m. for 2 tickets. What you're going to be looking for, and my apologies, it might not show real well here, but on the left there is these 2 light green circles right here. And if you zoomed in on them, you would see 2 price tags. You can kind of see the price tag up here above. And those price tags mean that there is a deal. So if you look to your right, I've selected those 2 seats with price tags, and they're $90 each for orchestra seats, which for a show like Six or Wicked or Book of Mormon, Lion King, those kind of like Broadway staples, that is an incredible deal. Those shows, it's called recouped. So when those shows have recouped their budget, their investment, which means whatever money was put into them has been made. The deals, in my experience, they're fewer and fewer in between because pretty much it's straight profit at that point. So right here, getting 2 orchestra tickets for $90 in what is actually a small theater. It's one of the cool things about Six. It's in one of Broadway's smallest houses. For $90 is pretty spectacular. And then you just have the option to pay. So $179, that's with fees. There's no hidden fees on TodayTix. For $90, that's pretty great. And one thing you will note is there's a little gold emblem here. So TodayTix has a membership program, and I have gold status, which means I get slightly more off. But if you are someone who goes to the theater a lot, it's quite a good program because I believe it's 12. If you go 12 times in a calendar year, then you get gold status. That's automatically 10% off. That's sometimes invited to VIP functions. Sometimes it's automatic seat upgrades. I think it's a really great program that I have had nothing but success using. Another thing that TodayTix has is Rush, and Rush is becoming, in my opinion, more and more the most surefire way to get cheap tickets. So for this, I did use an off-Broadway example. This is Bus Stop down at the Classic Stage Company, I believe, down by Union Square. And this is a classic American play. William Inge is one of America's kind of finest playwrights. And so for this, you can get $40 Rush tickets through TodayTix. That means day of. So Rush tickets is not something that you're going to do a day or 2 in advance. It's also not something if you want to bring your family of 10. This is like you and a friend or a date night or like mother-son night, like whatever, kind of 1 or 2 people you want to go to the theater with, kind of spur of the moment. So to do this on TodayTix, you have to you have to unlock in advance. So you'll see here on the left, you have to have this unlock now option, which will trigger this middle picture here. And so to unlock, they're hoping you will do share on Instagram stories or share on Facebook so they get free advertising. I do that because I use them so much I feel guilty not, but you can also just unlock without sharing. And by doing that, you will get this screen on your right here. So this is saying that you've unlocked $40 tickets. How many do you want? And to get this, you do need to be on right at 9 a.m. when Rush tickets open. Some shows you have an hour or 2 to get the tickets to. Sometimes you can check back in the afternoon and there's more that's been released. That is quite rare, but it does happen. But most shows, I would say, sell out of these TodayTix Rush tickets within 10 to 20 minutes. And I will say it's also a seasonal thing. Like right now, when everyone is going to New York to see Tony shows, like this, they go even faster. If you go in January or September, when it slows down a bit, you have a bit more time to get those seats. So like you can get one or two tickets like it's showing you here. And I will say most of the time, those seats are quite good. Every now and then you do get thrown in the back of the theater, but frequently I would say I am kind of in the front mezz or kind of halfway back in the orchestra. And those are fantastic seats in my mind. All right, so we are going to switch kind of away from TodayTix and go into the world of telecharge. A few years ago, telecharge really upped their rush game and their lottery game, and I think that they are just maybe the top dog now. So rush.telecharge.com is the website you're looking for. And this is a little bit of an older picture, like the stalker play is not happening anymore. But what is happening once you get past this screen where you can pick Rush or Lottery is some of the hottest shows in New York right now. So this is the lottery screen. And I would say pretty much everything you're looking at, except for Gatsby and Hell's Kitchen, which are a couple years old at this point, or I guess a year old, are Tony nominated hot tickets. These are things everyone wants to see. So the way the lottery for telecharge works is that the day before you want to go, it opens up at, I believe, 9 a.m., maybe 8 a.m., and they have drawings at 10 a.m. and also at 3 p.m. is the last one. So you submit whether you want one or two tickets. So if you look at the second row here at George Clooney and Good Night and Good Luck, which is hands down the hardest ticket in New York right now, you will see that I have selected that I want to try and go, that I want to enter the lottery, and you just hit one or two tickets. There'd be a drop down if I was to click here, and then you hit enter, and that's it. And then what actually happens is when you make your account for this, you register your phone number, and you will get a text message. So I got lucky, and I won the lottery for Othello back in March or April. Um, and at 10 a.m. on a Saturday, I got a text saying, "Hey, you won the Othello lottery. You get to go tomorrow." Um, and they gave me a great seat. I was like fourth or fifth row orchestra on the side for $49, I want to say. And that show, the tickets are several hundred for the most part. And the seat that I had probably would have been even more. And so using this service, you get to see the hottest shows on Broadway for severe, severe discounts. We're talking like more than 50% in most cases. And then Telecharge also does have this Rush service, which once again, you can see there are some of the hottest shows. There's Othello, we were just talking about that. Um, Maybe Happy Ending, I think is going to win Best Musical this year. John Proctor is the villain. I was saying earlier, that's a big ticket. Um, with the Telecharge Rush, I find it to be much more competitive than the TodayTix Rush. And there is minimal crossover. So usually shows pick either Telecharge or TodayTix. A couple cases of both, but for the most part, I would say it's one or the other. Um, and with these, what I find is you have to kind of click over and over again. So for example, if I was down here on Boop, which I did actually rush using the service, I put in for one ticket and I clicked check availability like you see over here with the Outsiders, and you just kind of have to click over and over again until you get the poll. So it tells you like, oh, here's your seat. Do you want to buy it? Um, I'm sure there are people who get on the first poll. I have never successfully gotten it on my first attempt. But once again, if you look at the prices here, $45, $49, $54 for Audra McDonald and Gypsy. That's pretty spectacular. You're really not going to find a better deal than you get for these. For Boop, my rush seat was like middle of the mezzanine, which for a musical, I actually think mezzanine is much, much better than orchestra. It always sounds better. And to me, the best seats in any Broadway house are the front center of the mezzanine. It's gonna have the best sound. You see everything. That's where it's at. So center mezz is great. I was quite happy with that seat. All right, this is one of the new things I was excited to talk about. So lottery.broadwaydirect.com. This is not a new service, but once again, I feel like they've really upped their game this season. So this is your kind of best way to get discount tickets if you want to see those like surefire shows. Like, yes, there is Death Becomes Her, Stranger Things here. If you scroll down, there's some other new stuff. But you can see Aladdin, Six, Lion King, MJ. These shows that have been running for years, um, probably aren't going anywhere. But you want to go see them and you don't want to break the bank. And because these shows are so heavily marketed towards tourists, it is harder to find these deals. So when you want to do this, let's say you wanted to see Lion King. You would have clicked on Lion King on the last page. It takes you to a page like this. They're all fun, customized towards whatever show you want to go see. And then if you were to scroll down, you would see the option to select quantity and date, which would then take you to a page like this. So with this one, you enter your name, how many you want, your email, all this. This one, they do ask for your zip, which I've never seen on the other ones. My guess is because they prioritize out of town. That's my kind of tin hat conspiracy theory that they make it harder for local people to get these tickets. Um, so you do this, and they will send you an email after you've entered this, and to make sure to confirm your email, make sure you're not a bot, etc. Um, but these seats are, once again, they're quite good. Sometimes they do put you side, which can be a partial view, but they're close on the side, which for me is always worth it. So like I said, Lion King, Aladdin, Wicked, Six, MJ, like those are all here. And with those shows, it's really the only way, short of going to the theater in person, to get cheap tickets. And we're talking like six, like here, you can see in the background, Lion King, it's 60. And that's Lion King for 60 is insane. Because if you look at TodayTix for Lion King, I think the lowest I've seen it drop is like 89 or 90, and that's in like the dead of winter usually. Um, so $60 is crazy good. All right, speaking of going to the theater in person, we're gonna switch to the in-person rush process a little bit. So what is Rush? Rush is not going for fraternity or sorority. This is a different kind of rush. So Rush is tickets remaining on the day of the show. They usually range in price from $30 to $50. I would say more and more they're on the high end of that. If you go off Broadway, they might be lower. But I'm seeing they're pretty much camped out right now around that 45 to 50 mark. And it requires going to the box office in person. And when you are going to the box office in person, this is a very useful tool. So this is your Broadway grosses. You can look at this every Tuesday by just Googling Broadway grosses. This is from so Playbill posts it. I believe Theater World posts it. I think this is maybe from Broadway.com. Lots of different places post it. And the key thing you want to look at here, there's tons of fun information. This is the top half. But the key thing you want to look at here is this over here on the right. There's this capacity column. And this is the top of the charts, like I was saying. So this, unfortunately, I would say most of these shows, it's very hard to rush in person, if not borderline impossible. But then we're going to go to the next slide. And this is the lower half of the charts. And I will say we're looking at this and it's still quite high in a lot of places. But that's because this is from a holiday weekend. So when we look at capacities, the general rule of thumb in my mind is if it's below 80%, I think it's quite easy to rush. So if you look here, that includes huge hits like Harry Potter in Chicago. Also some hot season shows like Gypsy and Floyd Collins. And the percentage that's selling at does not always mean that it is not a good product, that people aren't enjoying it. Sometimes it means an actor was out sick and it was announced in advance and people only want to see that star actor. Or sometimes it means it's been around for a while. There's either new stuff which is the case for Harry Potter in Chicago. Just people are seeing the new stuff right now. Um, or it's the off season like September or January. And there's just not like the tourists aren't here because those shows are really marketed towards tourists. Um, but the reason I brought up the holiday weekend thing is I would say if we had looked 2 weeks ago, I would say Boop would be below 80, Smash would be below 80, Six would probably be right at 80, same with Dead Outlaw. So those are all shows that I think you have a pretty good shot at going to the box office in person and getting tickets for. There is a caveat with a few things here. With the Tonys coming up in like a week or so, things will change after the Tonys. Some shows that are above this will drop, and some shows that are below might go up. So, for example, Gypsy, Floyd Collins, both nominated for Best Revival of a Musical. If one of those wins, I would expect these capacity lines to skyrocket. Boop features Jasmine Amy Rogers, who plays Betty Boop. And I would say if she wins Best Actress, that would skyrocket. On the other side of things, something like Stranger Things up here, if that gets snubbed, I could see that dropping down to like 85 or 80. So no one knows except for the Tony voters. But we'll see what comes of those awards and how that will affect the grosses. But just, again, you can find these by simply Googling Broadway grosses, and you'll get a bunch of options. They come out every Tuesday. And what I always recommend is if we can go back a slide, ordering it by capacity, and then you want to look at who is selling at 80% or lower. With those, I can pretty much guarantee you will get in if you rush. Um, for 85 or below, I think you have a pretty good shot. And for almost every show, if you just go to the show's website, so Google Harry Potter and the Cursed Child, box office hours, it'll take you to the show page and it'll show you when the box office opens. It is important for rush tickets to be there kind of as close to when the box office opens as possible. All right, so switching out of Rush, we are looking at membership and young theater goer programs. So we have five here that we're highlighting. MTC's 30 under 35, Roundabout Theater Company's HipTix, which has something that I think is new or I was missing it before that is quite exciting for our high school crew. LinkTix, which is Lincoln Centers, and 30 under 30, which is Second Stages. And then also TDF is kind of the big one here, and we will spend quite a bit of time looking at TDF. So in general, theaters have changed the way they look at memberships. Big companies like Lincoln Center, Second Stage, Manhattan Theater Club, and Roundabout still have traditional memberships. I actually think especially Second Stage and Roundabouts are quite good and worth it. Those companies tend to make really popular competitive shows, and those are ways to get like surefire tickets. Not to say that MTC and Lincoln Center aren't doing that, but in my personal experience, I have an easier time getting Lincoln Center and MTC tickets than I do Second Stage and Roundabout. So doing that traditional signing up an advanced membership and you're guaranteed tickets to their entire season, sometimes it's worth it, especially if you see there's an actor or play that you are especially excited about. Also, a lot of these companies have new programs to encourage younger theater goers to come. That's what I was just talking about with like LinkTix and 30 under 30, etc. And then, like I said, TDF, the Theater Development Fund, it is a glorious, wonderful thing if you live in or close to New York for accessible theater tickets. So TDF, like I said, it stands for the Theater Development Fund. This one is not free. Like the other services are free to sign up for. This one has a $42 annual due that might have actually just gone up as I'm saying that. I'm thinking about that. I will check on that for y'all. Founded in 1968, and TDF's, their goal is to sustain live theater and dance by engaging and cultivating a broad and diverse audience and eliminating barriers for attendance. And what's really cool about TDF is you have to qualify for it, but so many people qualify for it, and you can kind of almost always figure out a way to make yourself qualify for it. So who is this exactly? Who does this work for? Like I said, a lot of people. Students, teachers and school staff, people under 30, union members, those on federal disability, retirees, government employees or civil servants, not-for-profit staffers, full-time hourly workers. And what they mean by this is that basically, do you qualify for overtime? If you can prove that you qualify for overtime, which is a lot of people, then usually you can sell TDF that you qualify. Artists or arts professionals, members of the armed forces, veterans, freelancers or self-employed. So even if you don't follow or you don't qualify for any of these, but maybe you like sell photographs at the farmer's market on the weekends, you can probably qualify. And then the clergy at the end here. So tdf.org, this is their homepage. I'm going to click through real quick how to make an account. It is pretty self-explanatory again. So that'll go away, and we'll see up here in this red circle, TDF login, which will take you to a page like this. And you're just going to want to come over here and do create an account, which is the third gray rectangle, which will take you to a page like this. And once again, it's pretty much just your name, address, and email, and setting up a password. Some of these subscription services want your social and your firstborn child and the lease to your house or the deed to your house. This is quite simple. And it actually gives you also some cool things down here. You can sign up for news updates, like the costume collection programs are pretty cool. There's lots of interesting stuff that the development fund sends out to people. So after you've done that, you will get to look at what they're offering. So back on that homepage, you would see a tab that says current offers, which is what we clicked on to get to this page. And so as of yesterday, when I took this screenshot, there are 13 shows on Broadway right now, which are up here. And when they say Broadway, they do also include dance at City Center, as well as their City Center Encore series, as well as like the Met Opera, American Ballet Theater I've seen on here. That's more rare, but the Met's on here all the time. And City Center dance, like Ballet Hispanico here at the top, is there quite a bit. So like I said, right now it's 13. There was a point like a few weeks ago where there was as many as like 20 or 21 things on here, which is I think the most I've seen. But it's not just Broadway, it's off Broadway, it's off Broadway. For folks who have been to events at Town Hall, which is a concert venue right in Midtown, sometimes their stuff's on here. And there's some really exceptional shows listed here. So like Moulin Rouge, coming out of COVID, won Best Musical for kind of like that weird extended season. And is a fan favorite with lots of fun names in it. It's great. Hadestown, same thing, won Best Musical, I believe in 2019. And it just made, actually today it became the 40th longest running show on Broadway, which is pretty cool. And then you have kind of stuff from the seasons. Like I said, Gypsy, Floyd Collins, both up for Best Revival. In a few weeks after the Tonys, these might not be here. Cabaret, currently starring Orville Peck and Eva Noblezada, who's are both fan favorite. Well, Eva's a Broadway fan favorite. Orville is a kind of superstar of country pop music. Both fantastic. Last 5 years, Nick Jonas of the Jonas Brothers. See him I just did this via TDF and I was like fifth row, center orchestra, pretty amazing seats. And also Adrienne Warren, who won the Tony for playing Tina Turner in the Tina Turner musical. So really exceptional shows. And this is just the top half. There's more below it. And really with this, because the tickets tend to be, as you'll see here with Boop, so it's $52, and I think there's another couple bucks slapped on there, so it ends up being 55, I want to say. But the seats they're going to give you are in all likelihood going to be seats that are anywhere from like $90 to $120 face value. So if you buy, I don't know, 2, 3, 4 tickets over the course of a year, your membership pays for itself in no time. Just a really fantastic deal. I chose to highlight Boop here. I adore Boop. It's so fantastic. It is 2 hours of pure joy. It's so fun, incredible choreo, incredible design. I feel like it's getting slept on a little bit this season, but it's just I'm dying to see it again, frankly. I probably will see it again sometime in June. Um, and it is just if you want to take the family out for a night at the theater, like can't recommend using TDF to do this enough. And actually saying that reminds me that the thing about TDF versus the other services is you can get up to like 9 or 10 tickets sometimes. So if you do want to take the whole family out, like this is the best way to do it by a lot. The rates you're going to get for seats compro or for seats that are way better than you're going to get for doing a group rate are only a few bucks more, really, if not sometimes less. So you'll see boop, 528, 25. That was a couple days ago, I guess, at this point. You'll see all the date options here. Sometimes there's a big long list. Sometimes it's only a couple dates. And actually, our next slide, which is for off-Broadway, you'll see that. This is for Mackinac at City Center, and it's only a few options. But you'll notice that for off-Broadway, it's even cheaper. So 38 bucks. This is I don't know anything about this production, to be honest. It's a great play. But if it's at City Center, in my experience, it tends to be good. That's why I chose to include this one. But you'll see like Play That Goes Wrong, which is a staple and a favorite and one of the funniest things I've ever seen. That's on here all the time. I believe it's closing soon, but Titanic, which is I'm bummed it's closing. I'm gonna miss it. That's become a fan favorite. That's on here all the time. And there's tons of off-Broadway options. Like you really, I don't know, you can't go wrong, and the prices are always pretty exceptional. So moving away from TDF, this is LinkTix. Um, this is where we get into the young theater goer programs. So for here, LinkTix is a discount theater program for people ages 21 to 35. And to sign up, you just put in your name, address, email, phone number, and date of birth is the big one. Because like I said, it caps out at 35. And you will have to show ID at the box office to pick up your tickets. Now, this is what I'll say with LinkTix. Sometimes it is designed for young people to go. However, sometimes you are a broke college student or you're a grad student and you are low on cash and want to do something like take your mom to the theater for Mother's Day or like get your grandparents like a great Christmas gift or something. What I have done and others who have done, you can get two and then, for example, take your friend to go see Floyd Collins or whatever, who might be like 36 and doesn't qualify for this anymore. Um, that is something that is not an uncommon thing to do. And I think it's a nice way to allow people to go see the theater for a affordable rate. HipTix. This is Roundabout, and this has a new thing that I am quite excited about. So, HipTix is for roundabout shows. That means it's shows at the Todd Hames, which is on 42nd Street, formerly the American Airlines. Um, Studio 54, not all the shows, but a lot of them. And the Pell's Theater, which is their off-Broadway space. And for this, if you are between the ages of 18 and 40, you sign up. You do have to use a special Criterion ticketing app, and then tickets are 30 bucks, plus some fees. You can get up to 2 tickets. It's pretty easy. The cool thing that I'm excited about that I want to talk about here, though, is HipTix High, which is a new program that I believe you sign up for the same way. But for high school students, if you want to go see a show at the Hames or the Pells, so like Pirates, the Penzance musical, or this summer Joy, the musical, which is based off the Jennifer Lawrence movie Joy, which is based off a true story. Um, you can get tickets for those kind of things for 10 bucks. And I'm not sure yet if you can like get to and take your mom with you or something, but that is a pretty wonderful thing to get young people into the theater, in my opinion. MTCs 30 under 35, same thing. You just sign up, you put in your name, email, phone number, etc. And you'll get emails letting you know when these tickets go on sale. Right now it's Old Friends. That's closing kind of soon, but I took advantage of that to see Bernadette Peters and Lance Longer for 30 bucks. Great deal. And then maybe the strictest and the hardest to get around for all of them is this 30 under 30 for second stage. So this is mostly for shows at the Hayes Theater, where currently Purpose is playing. But basically, you enter this code 30 under 30, and you can get $30 tickets. This one they are the strictest with. I would not try to like bring your friend over age to this. Like this is really for like if you have two friends who are like 25 who want to go to the theater together, like this is the way to do this. Yeah. All right, so this is my favorite part here that we're gonna get into, picks. So these are shows. I'm not saying they're better than everything else. I just think that they're to me they've spoken to me a lot, and I have two sets here. One that are kind of general picks and ones that are kind of family friendly. So the first one is Death Becomes Her, currently playing at the Lunt-Fontanne. If you've seen the Meryl Streep movie, um, it's great. It's very funny. This just builds on that and it's even funnier and it's kind of updated it. If you haven't seen the movie, we do have it here at the library. Highly recommend grabbing it. Second, we have Gypsy, Audra McDonald, the most awarded stage actress of all time, I believe. Definitely the most Tony Awards. The Sondheim classic. It is an all-star cast around her. It's a very interesting production for me because the depression, which is when a lot of this takes place, is really a character in this, and you feel it, and it really adds to the stakes, I think, a lot. It's a really wonderful production, and we actually have um, Gypsy Rosalie, the actual person who she's based off of, her memoir in the library, so you can grab her memoir and kind of read that and understand the story a bit more. I just saw this last night. Picture of Dorian Gray, Sarah Snook. It's a one-woman show. Um, it is truly one of the most spectacular things I've ever seen in my entire life. Dorian Gray turns 135 later this summer. I'm going to be doing this whole big like book list spotlight on that. If you are a performance nerd, if you are a tech nerd, this is not one to be missed. I will warn you, pretty much the only way to get a discounted ticket for this one is to do the lottery. And it does unfortunately close in a few weeks. But it is just I walked out of the theater last night shaking. It made me so excited. Like, cannot recommend it enough. Sondheim's Old Friends. I was just talking about this. Bernadette Peters, Lea Salonga. It's a review of kind of Sondheim's greatest songs. It's a really wonderful night at the theater. Is it gonna like push your brain? No, but it's like you're just gonna go and like hear all your favorite Sondheim songs with like A plus 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 talent delivering it. And then my overall pick, this one I do think is the best. It's my favorite thing I've seen probably in the last 2, 3 years. Purpose at the Hayes. And last night they announced they are extending through the end of August. If you're a theater person, you should not miss this show. It is a 3 hour like textbook, extremely well done American drama that will also have you laughing like crazy. It just won the Pulitzer this year. If you saw Appropriate last year, same playwright, same as Brendan Jacob Jenkins, and he is spectacular. We have a lot of his stuff here in the library, and I'm working on getting more of it. Um, definitely do not miss this show. But now, if you want to take the whole fam, I'm going to run through these a little bit quicker. Stranger Things, The First Shadow at the Marquee. This is basically an amusement park ride, crazy special effects. When I was there, there was kids as young as I would say 7 or 8, and it's a little freaky, but they enjoyed it. Maybe Happy Ending is just a beautiful love story about two robots. Like I said, I think it's going to win Best Musical this year. There is one kind of like risque scene, so maybe not the youngest kids, but definitely good if you have like teens or theater tweens. Pirates, the Penzance musical, a new take on Pirates of Penzance, kind of jazzy New Orleans spin. Actually, I've not had the chance to see it yet, but I have not heard anything bad about it yet. Coming back to Broadway in, I think, July, maybe August, is Mamma Mia for like a very short kind of hi, we're back celebration run. Playing the Winter Garden. It's a classic, you can't go wrong. If you like ABBA and you haven't seen it yet, go see it. And then my overall pick for family favorite, like I said, Boop. Just incredible dance, incredible choreography, great music. Of like maybe all the music this season, this is the soundtrack I keep kind of going back to. Um, don't miss Boop. And then because this is our Summer in the City edition, I just want to highlight a few other things you can do if you're going into the city. So the first thing that you can do is that you can use our Greenwich Library museum passes to go to some of New York's finest attractions. So we have museum passes that will get you in either for free or for heavily discounted rates to MoMA. Perrot has the Met, the Guggenheim, the recently reopened Frick we have, Brooklyn Botanical Gardens, and much more. Those are the ones that maybe stand out to me the most, but there's a bunch of them. You can also go to Lower Manhattan's gorgeous parks. The High Line, 6BC Botanical Gardens, Little Island is a newer one, but is such a fun time. Um, and then there's other just kind of fun, free, or low-cost activities. Lincoln Center is bringing back their Summer in the City programming, which you can go to their website to look at. A lot of it is free. Bryant Park does their movies. That is sometimes competitive to get a spot on the lawn, but is super fun. The Bronx Zoo, one of the best zoos in the world, right at our doorstep. And then TV show tapings. So stuff like Colbert, Jimmy Fallon, John Oliver, all these guys, their shows tape in New York and they are free to go to these tapings. So if you want to go to one of those, if you just Google like Tonight Show tapings, you'll see, and it's usually a pretty simple form you fill out in advance, do it like at least a few weeks in advance, and you will submit, and they'll let you know if you get picked to come to the taping or not. And I have never not been selected, so I think if you want to go and you do it far enough out in advance, it's pretty easy. All right. In the past, when I have done this presentation, I do get a lot of people asking about concerts. So I wanted to highlight a few free concerts in the city this summer as we're wrapping up here. So the first one is going to be coming up quite soon. It's with Robert Glasper at Lincoln Center on June 11th. I believe this is actually the kickoff to that Summer in the City series I was just talking about. And so Robert Glasper, for those who do not know, is kind of at this incredible intersection of jazz and hip hop, and is either played on or produced like many of like your favorite rapper or hip hop person's albums. And is primarily a pianist, but does a lot. You might not know their music or even them by name, but you have heard them play, I can almost guarantee you. So this is Wendy and Lisa. We're also playing Lincoln Center on 622, and Wendy and Lisa were really the heart of Prince's band, The Revolution. So all those like Prince classics, Wendy and Lisa played on, and they're playing Lincoln Center on 622. Rhiannon Giddens, who is this incredible black roots artist, who I swear has won every award you can win, is doing a free concert in Central Park on 625. Her music really transcends genre and she does a little bit of everything. And then these guys you might recognize from TV, or just if you're a music nerd, you might know them. So the Roots are doing a free concert at Flushing Meadows Corona Park on July 20th. They're Jimmy Fallon's house band, but they're also, before that, maybe like the best band, if you will, in scare quotes, in hip hop. They've been around for a long time, based out of Philly, grew up together, and now are selling out venues all over the world, and they're doing a free concert in Brooklyn. So I'm gonna go to that one. Don't miss that one. Critical Darling Jessica Pratt plays a free concert at Central Park Summer Stage on July 24th. She's a very kind of straightforward singer-songwriter, but every time she puts out an album, the critics lose themselves over it. And then finally here, this is a little bit later, it's September 16th, but indie favorite Soccer Mommy plays a free show at Lincoln's, oh, that's a typo, sorry, at Central Park Summer Stage. So if you are a fan of Boy Genius, Phoebe Bridgers, Clairo, all these kind of like rising indie stars, Soccer Mommy is very much so in that vein and has a killer band to boot. Definitely would recommend catching that one. Um, and then real quick, so this is where I start to tease you a little bit. If you are watching this and you did not register for the program, part of the package that I send out afterwards that has some like notes and highlights, um, is going to include this new section I'm calling crawls. And so I have a bookstore and a zoo crawl that are both quite cost efficient and fun ways to spend days in the city. So the bookstore crawl will include kind of hours and directions to Strand, McNally Jackson, Book Club Bar, Codex, and the Housing Works bookstore. And those are all, it's like a 15-minute walk to hit all those things. And you can obviously spend a lot more time in the stores. And then something I'm trying to do this summer, and I think it's a fun thing to do, is we have these three kind of mini zoos in the city with Central Park, Prospect Zoo, and Queens. I think there's also one on Staten Island. No hate to Staten Island, but I'm not taking the ferry over there for that. And so you can go to these three zoos, and if you have that kid who's really into animals, or you just kind of want to explore all the boroughs, this is a great way to do that. So those who registered for the programs are going to get kind of maps and instructions and hours on how to best do this, as well as some other info. So if you are listening and like, gosh darn it, I wish I had done that. Next time we do this, definitely be sure to register and you'll get some fun extra tricks. Oh, and I forgot about this. So this is my next to last thing, I promise. So there's a thing going viral on socials right now, called the 3 show day. This is for like my ultimate theater nerds. Many people will go in and do a 2 show day where you go to a matinee dinner and then an evening show. Due to our friend O'Mary here in the middle, who do 5 p.m. matinees, if you will, on Saturdays, it is very possible right now to do 3 shows in one day, which is crazy. And I'm going to try and do it this summer, so we'll see how that goes. So this is just an example of what you could do. So this just started performances. Call Me Izzy at Studio 54. If you're a fan of Hacks, it's a one-woman show starring Jean Smart. So you could, for example, go to the 2 p.m. Saturday matinee of this. It is 85 minutes long, so you would get out around 3:30, which gives you an hour and a half before you could go check out O'Mary, which may win Best Play this year at the Tonys. At 5 p.m. at the Lyceum. And that's only about like an hour and change long, maybe an hour 20 at the most. So you could get out around 6:30 and go to an 8 p.m. showing of like a longer musical such as Sunset Boulevard. So like I said, this is really for like the most diehard theater nerds. It's just kind of a rare opportunity that you have right now because of these kind of funky 5 p.m. matinees. So yeah. So in conclusion, planning a trip to Broadway can be intimidating, but once you learn the tricks, it is doable. Do your homework, watch the grosses, going back to the grosses that you can Google or you can find just by Googling Broadway grosses. Look at those. And if something is selling below 80%, and I can almost guarantee you will find a deal on it. And then finally, feel free to stop by. If you see me on desk and and you can ask questions for recommendations. Once again, if you registered for this program, you will have my email shortly, or if you were paying attention, my email is in the presentation itself. So feel free to reach out. I would love to help you. And we have lots of things here at the library that kind of can augment your theater going experience. And we hope that you will take advantage of them. And so that concludes today's program. Thank you so much for coming and watching. And we hope to see you soon at one of our many programs here at the library. Thank you so much and have a great day.